Welcome to the rescheduled Board of Health meeting from February 1st, 2021 to February 4th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Would our clerk like to take us through the agenda tonight?
First on the agenda is the disposal work permits for 68 and 9 Stonegate Drive, bills and payroll, review of the minutes, open for discussion, COVID-19 case updates, COVID-19 vaccine planning, organization, meeting schedule, interview of the public health nurse, and the budget for 2022.
Thank you very much. I would like to make a motion to move to discussion of organization of the board.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motions for chair?
I'll make a motion, your chair, for Miles. You're the ranking member, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Motion made by Tim. Do we have a
Second.
second? Seconded by Lisa. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for vice chair?
Lisa?
Motion by Tim for Lisa Lasoga. Do we have I'll second. All in favor? Aye. And a motion for clerk.
Tim?
Motion for Tim, second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, action items. Action is required to assign disposal work permits for 68 Stonegate Drive and 9 Stonegate Drive for discussion, if any.
Information. There's also, since minutes were written, new construction of Stonegate, 9 and 68, and also 189 Grove Street and 177 Grove Street, new construction, the two new lots on Grove Street.
So,
You got it.
What are the numbers again? 189 and what?
189 and 77?
177,
179.
189. They split them off right by Grove Circle.
Yep.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of passing disposal work permits as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Bills and payroll?
Point of information, one repair permit, upgrade, 85 Haywood Ave that came in after the minutes were put out. Thank you.
Thank you. Bills and payroll, Sue?
Yep, hold on, because we moved from one room to the other, so I just grabbed everything and ran. All right.
So did you approve Haywood, 85 Haywood?
Motion on the amendment.
Motion to approve?
Yeah, for the repair permit, yep.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a Title V loan to sign as part of our bills tonight for 788 Bridge Street. That's separate, so if you want to make a motion on that. This is part of our WPAT loan, repair loan program.
Do we have
I make
a
a motion?
motion made by Lisa,
Second.
seconded by Tim? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And then we have bills for B&D Associates for Sharps disposal, WB Mason for office supplies, I think it's toner and ink, and Brown and Caldwell for landfill monitoring on Bridge Street.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Minutes.
So, minutes, obviously, Tim would abstain from, he was not yet on the board, so we have, I did email them to you in advance, minutes of December 7th and the minutes of January 21st.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second. All in favor? Aye. And an abstention
Abstaining.
from Tim.
Too fast.
For discussion, Sue, can you give us an update on COVID cases?
So there's a slight decrease, which is great. We're going from seeing 25 a day when I log on to under a dozen a day the last couple of days, so that's the good news. I jinxed myself this morning because it was really good, and as the day went on, we had more and more. I do have a lot of kids quarantining right now, but that's okay. We went in saying if there was one positive case, the whole class was going to quarantine at the elementary school. So there's a lot of parents that got phone calls today because their kids have to quarantine. And if they have any questions, they can call the health office. I know there's a lot of confusion out there today. So all in all, the cases are down. They're still high, you know, as far as what they should be, but they're down from what they were from after the holidays. And stay home for the Super Bowl, please.
Thank you. COVID vaccine update. As you know, Tim, I believe you've been in discussion with Stu and Bob in the office. Do you have anything to update folks on?
I have a whole paper worth. I will just read it in. So for a timeline, so first responders were vaccinated on January 19th and the 22nd, and they're due for their second doses on February 16th and 19th. Those doses are already available and will be delivered when it comes time for those deliveries. Phase 2 obviously began February 1st. However, we were not able to get any vaccines. I did order 200 doses this past Monday. I should know Saturday if we're being allocated any, and if so, how many. If we do receive doses, they will likely arrive on Tuesday, and we will have a vaccination clinic on Wednesday or Thursday, hopefully Wednesday, at the community center for those that are 75 and older and anybody that remains in phase 1. Most towns are only receiving about 100 doses regardless of how many they have ordered. Brockton Hospital has the capacity to store the Pfizer vaccine if towns so decide to use it, because it requires ultra-cold storage. We can't store it locally. It's got to be reconstituted with normal saline, which is an added step from the Moderna vaccine. Not really a big deal. It just adds that extra step. The downside is, once it's thawed, it has to be used within 5 days. Any unopened vial has to be used within 5 days. Any open vial has to be used, I believe it's still 6 hours. This would likely work out well when it came to vaccinating the school district. And I'll get into that, Bob can as well. We had a meeting last Friday with our EDS, Emergency Dispensing Site people. They come up with a pretty good plan. We're still waiting to get emails on it to kind of, rubber stamp it or give it the green light, but it'd be utilizing the parking area of the school. It would be an outdoor clinic. It'd be good to be able to, for lack of better terms, practice with the school teachers. This is the same thing they're doing in Randolph, and it's going off without a hitch. The only problem is if we don't have vaccine, we can't do it. So we have teamed up with West Bridgewater to do that site, to do both towns, both school districts, and then once we get into phase 3, when it's opened up to the general public, we'll be able to schedule clinics as, doses arrive, or when we know how many doses we have, we'll be able to schedule. It's really backwards. I don't know if anyone's been paying attention, but rah, let's vaccinate, but there's no vaccines. A lot of these vaccines are going to the state-run sites, and I can understand why. But I think that the towns, they're just getting some scraps. Hopefully that'll change when more vaccine becomes available. Anyways, so we've teamed up with West Bridgewater to vaccinate both districts, and then when we enter phase 3. Both of those groups will likely be a drive-through vaccine clinic. The downside is it would more than likely have to occur on weekends, as it's not possible to do it when school's in session. Unless I can find another area in town where, a property owner would allow us to use their parking lots. I haven't reached out to anybody yet, because I was kind of waiting to see, what the outlook on actually getting mass quantities of vaccines are. Once I find that out, I was thinking, because it's a shared thing between East and West Bridgewater, the former Shaw's property off Laurel Street would be a really good site. There's a lot of space there. I just have to meet and speak with the property owners to see if that's even possible. So on Monday, February 8th, a notification is going to be placed on the town's website, as well as on the Board of Health and Council on Aging websites, which pretty much is it's gonna allow people 75 and older, or anyone in phase one, to fill out an online form, if possible, so we have a list of those wanting to be vaccinated. There's also a hotline that will be activated on Monday. Using the Council on Aging's phone number, people calling the hotline will need to listen to the message and will be prompted to leave their name, age, date of birth, address, phone number on the voicemail if they don't have email. The preferred method is email, because email is, we can register you in, PrepBod was what we use for the vaccine clinics. It advises you when your appointment's due. It advises you either, with Pfizer, 21 days later, you're up, or Moderna, 28 days later, you're up. But I know that population is more than likely doesn't have email or internet access, so that's just something we're contending with, and I think we have a pretty good plan. So this will aid us in compiling a list of people wanting the vaccine and speed up the process of notifying them of an appointment and getting the vaccine into their arm. Nancy Hill, the director of the Council on Aging, said she can do robocalls to that population and let them know if the vaccine's available to be able to sign up. So hopefully that'll work out well. Because we're not receiving the amount of vaccines we need, members of the community are urged to contact a regional vaccination center to schedule an appointment. I believe the Commonwealth is supposed to be opening up 167 sites statewide, and I think that's why you're seeing towns not getting the vaccines that we thought we were going to get. And I can understand why. I mean, they don't want the, Gillette Stadium to fail, or Fenway Park, and I get it. But once the federal government releases more, maybe we'll be better in line to be able to serve our own residents. And though that is an inconvenience, it may be the fastest way to get vaccinated. Residents who are age 65 and older with mobility issues should contact the Council on Aging so we can establish a list to possibly vaccinate those people in their home or provide transportation for them to a town clinic. Vaccinating people in the home is the least favorable and most time-consuming way to get vaccinated, because, I can vaccinate with 3 or 4 vaccinators, 20 people an hour, easy, but I can only do one at a house every 15 minutes, and then there's travel time. So that's that for that. Do you want to talk about the EDS at all, the meeting we held Friday with those folks, Bob?
Sure.
I know that, I'll just say this, I know there's a plan was in place that if something ever happened, we were supposed to be able to vaccinate the entire town in 48 hours. Well, that obviously isn't happening.
Right.
And they moved it to, every hometown to these regional clinics. And I think a lot of it might have to do with because it's phased, rather than doing everybody all at once, which would be super. I mean, if we did 500 people a day, 20 days, that's 10,000 people. That's about what the town would probably need for vaccinations.
So after 9/11, the federal government decided to fund local boards of health directly rather than through the town budget. And we were required to, just to point out, be able to vaccinate or smallpox or anthrax type issues, the whole town in 2.5 days. So we practiced our plans from 2001 on with these EDS planners, which he's talking about. We're in Region 5. There's 3 counties in Region 5, Bristol, Barnstable, and Plymouth, 5C. And unfortunately, it doesn't suit itself to COVID, the particular plans that we have, because you're going to be indoors, you can't social distance. So the method now that we've decided on, I would think we all agree, is the drive-up issue, right? I mean, it has some downfalls, it has weather, so we're going to modify the plan. We're not required to vaccinate the whole town in 2.5 days because we won't have the vaccine anyway. But like Tim said, we'll be able to take the Pfizer vaccine that's readily available. It's 975 doses, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah. When we have the general clinic. So hopefully we'll be, I think we both requested, Susan and Tim have requested the Moderna vaccine. So we have a plan. It's going to be modified because we're going to use the Council on Aging for the 75 and olders. And like Tim just described, how he might reach out to people that don't have transportation or email. So I think that's well suited for the population that's up next in step 1 of phase 2, in my opinion. And like he said, we're going to work with West Bridgewater, so we have plenty of vaccinators, because Tim, many nurses have come forward, Lisa also. And with West Bridgewater, we'll have more hands on deck to do the paperwork, which really slows it up. But I think Tim is familiar with Prep Mod, I'm not so much. But he said it's very timely and fast and quick. So that's the whole problem we had with our testing. It was the paperwork that held up the road, held up the line. So I think we're in good shape. We just need the product.
Absolutely. Any further discussion or questions for either Bob or Tim? Peter?
Do you think either Tim or Bobby that the reason for the Gillette and Fenway is just because of the outside venue versus the inside of the school, like you just said when you did that? I mean, I was confused why they wouldn't have just stuck with the town concept of, you know, having us control, or having the Board of Health along with the fire department and
Yeah.
the police control the dosages the way that I would assume. But again, that makes sense that you don't want to be inside a building like the high school.
Right. And then they got to sanitize it before school again and everything else. So I think the outside I don't think there's any way we're going to get around that. But
Right.
one of the things we want to do, we want to try to provide the vaccine where people are comfortable going, and the seniors particularly. I mean, a young person can drive to Gillette, they make a day of it, they go out to eat. But we want our seniors to come to where they're comfortable going, whether it be the library, the community center, town hall, and they vote in the school. So I think it's important for that age group.
I do know that State Representative Allison Sullivan was part of the South Shore delegation last week that submitted a letter regarding the state sites, because there was really nothing on the South Shore. And I do believe there's been a little bit of movement in regards to.
Shaw's Center is going to open in
Yeah,
2 weeks.
in Brockton.
Yeah.
So certainly that was a big step as well. All right. Any further discussion on the COVID-19 vaccine plan? And Sue, I do know that, I've been in the office a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, and the phones have been ringing off the hook, and so certainly I hope this will help alleviate a little bit of the phone calls, because it's certainly been a lot, and we appreciate that, everything that you've done on speaking with the residents in town. Meeting schedule, I do believe for discussion.
This is our first meeting with our
Yes.
temporary new member, so I just want to make sure everybody's in agreement for when the meetings are going to stay the same, or make sure everybody's available.
Yeah, it was the first and third Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Still work for you?
fine with that.
Perfect. I don't know if we want to alternate between in-person and Zoom, or if we want to do in-person. I don't know, Tim, what works best.
Honestly, I
for you?
think if we can keep the distance and all that, I don't have an issue with it.
Okay.
If we're gonna have a public hearing, I mean, I've never been involved with that, I don't know how many people show up, but if it's gonna be a bigger meeting, it might be worthwhile to have it in a larger conference room. But I'm fine with this. It's a small gathering, so.
Okay, so, Sue,
person.
that would put our next meeting, I know there's a holiday coming up.
Yep. So our next meeting, what is today? Oh, so we're off schedule right now. So our next meeting is actually scheduled, would be for the holiday, so. I think normally we would skip and not have a meeting, but I think with everything going on, we probably
Should
need to
meet
have
that
a
week.
meeting in place of that holiday. So maybe we would just want to do it another night that week, because if we go to the next Monday, then we're going to be going off our schedule again, so. You want to do like Tuesday, well, actually, maybe not Tuesday, but maybe another day that week. Bob Philbrook is actually on vacation that week.
I'll be here for the meeting. I think Tuesday, 4 o'clock would be great. But
Tuesday at 4?
The 16th?
So that might be someone's birthday, and we might have
So,
plans.
that-
But you can
okay.
have it without me if you want.
Why don't we meet the following week, Monday, the
The
22nd?
We could do 2 weeks in a row too, like for that, if you want. I just don't want to get way off schedule, because we're gonna have a lot going on.
Okay,
I'm wide open on Monday. the
Okay.
22nd.
okay. All right, so our next meeting will be Monday, the 22nd. I know next on our agenda is the public health
So,
nurse.
well, actually, when I wrote the agenda, we were just gonna be talking about the public health nurse, but then we actually went into schedule, we were able to get hold of people to schedule interviews, so we can do the budget, and then I think I did see maybe our first interview scheduled for 6:30, so we could go into the budget discussion first and then
Okay.
circle back.
Yeah, let's move ahead to FY22 budget. Bob, you want to speak on the budget tonight?
I wish I had it with me, but I don't.
Just a minute. Do you need copies, Mr. Chairman?
Sure. If you'd like to give us all a copy, thank you. Selectman Peter Spagone, do you have anything you'd like to bring forward tonight?
Well, I mean, I can update you a little bit. I was telling Tim earlier, we met with Carriage Crossing today, myself, John Haynes, and Brian Noble regarding their hookup to the wastewater treatment plant. Meeting went to the one here by the high school. Meeting went extremely well. We hope to have some news probably within the next week regarding them being the next entity to come aboard and to partner with the town to talk about what they'd like to do over at Carriage Crossing, but more importantly, connect to our system. So, that's really all we've got at this point, but it looks very promising, and I'm excited to see this would be the fourth venue that would be part of our system. So we'll give you more on that. Hopefully by your next meeting, we'll have an exact time and amount of money and what the situation was.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bob?
Yep. We were
Bob,
asked to
Sue,
provide level funded and level services, and so we met with the finance committee, and they had very little to ask or say. They asked a little bit about MS4 and what that was, 'cause that's a fairly large number in the level services. I put the $20,000 back in that. And that's for our Clean Waters Act. It's a federal permit. Brian signs it, actually. The payroll salaries are the same with 2% for, we're assuming it might be 2%. And mine is 2% plus the 5, because I'm on the 5-5-5 plan. Why those numbers are larger. And we funded the public health nurse the same as it was prior. I think the only thing people probably don't understand is the MS4 number. That's a number that we use to camera North Central Street and West Union Street till we found a list of connections, and that's the Board of Health's responsibility as part of the MS4. Conservation is the enforcement arm, and the DPW is the structures in the testing. So we did find list of connections on both streets. They were disconnected. Those are two of probably the older streets in town. And then the last expense we took out of that was the Beaver Diversion Dam on Harvard Street, and that worked very well. So I funded, for the level funded budget, I took the money out of MS4, that's why the number's 13,670, and I added it to the salaries. I didn't give you guys a raise, because I think you're overpaid as it is. It's a joke. So, I put the $20,000 back in the level services, what they asked me to do if we want to keep the same services. So, also, Brian suggested that we take the disposal area out of this particular line. That's the monitoring of the Bridge Street landfill. We capped it in 1995, I think. We're obligated for 30 years to monitor it. It costs us about $30,000 a year. I will say that that was an unlined landfill from years ago, and we had a lot of contamination down there. And so we have monitoring wells scattered all about down there. So this is a requirement from the state. And I think we've got 5 years left of that $30,000 a year, and that'll drop off. So there's something we're going to look at next year about fencing on Bridge Street and on Plymouth Street. Even though we haven't had a problem with RVs getting in there, we do have a little maintenance to do down there. So we're gonna put that in next year on, I guess it's the capital budget, so we'll deal with that. Any questions?
Seeing none, thank you, and
Motion to accept the budget?
motion made by Lisa. Second. All right, moving forward, I do believe we have one of our nursing nursing position interviewees here, so I would like to
Yes,
welcome
that's
you
me.
up.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Diane Fortune. Hi.
Aye.
Hi, Dan. Nice to
Joe.
meet you.
Is it over there?
That's
Yeah,
me,
okay.
Joe, yeah.
I certainly don't need a mic.
Well, we're on camera.
Hi, how are you?
I was like,
Yeah, because-
Welcome.
thank you.
So,
Didn't expect this, but that's okay.
We weren't really sure either, sorry.
That's all right, it's all right. I'm not one to shy away from anything, so.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, nursing's a second career for me. I actually became an RN 1 month before I turned 50 and continued on for my bachelor's. It's, I kind of think I was born a nurse. I was always the care provider, the caretaker, no matter what I did. I'm originally from Jamaica Plain. I moved here, oh God, we'll be here like maybe 2012. We're down on Central Street. I wanted to go into nursing because I've seen a lot of people in my family go through many things. Saw a need that people really weren't getting good care. You know, a lot of people are alone. A lot of people don't have family, don't have anybody, and they get kind of swept under the rug. So I was working at Sinai, New England Sinai, which is a chronic hospital. I learned a lot. That was my first nursing job. I haven't been around the block too long because it was 2010 when I graduated from my associate's program. But I worked at, like I said, New England Sinai, and, you know, learned a lot. Everybody from trachs to vents to, you know, a chronic, basically these people lived there. And then I had a friend of mine that called me in reference to working at an establishment called Habilitation Assistance Court in Plymouth, which was working with people with developmental and intellectual delays. Loved it, felt it was like my wheel zone because I always felt I gravitated to that underdog, to speak for somebody, the advocate for somebody that can't. And, you know, I was there for a few years, got offered another position with more resources for me to do what I really kind of love to do. I love to teach. You know, a lot of these members are younger. You know, they have questions. People kind of shuffle, don't want to tell them anything, but, you know, people, they're people. And so I was there for a few years, and unfortunately I went out injured. I have a condition with my left foot called Charcot syndrome, which is a bone wasting, muscle wasting disorder. And I had been unemployed for a few years, but I got to take care of both my mother and my father, who passed, my father in 2018, and my mom just this past summer. I took care of her up in the city so she could basically pass it home. So it was like my turn now. I got to get back into the swing of things. So I've been looking. I did start a position. I work currently, we're on furlough because somebody came in with COVID. And it's an adult day health center in Wareham. I was the nurse, the case manager, the RN, the only nurse there. small establishment, maybe 30-something people at the time, if it's full capacity, but, you know, and not a lot of med passes or any type of direct care, but, you know, blood pressures, weights, a lot of what's required from the state. And, you know, like I said, I was there at the end of October, and then somebody came in beginning of December, and, you know, it was, you know, you deal with, you know, you get people's, you know, that there's a lot of people that take care of their family members, and it's a strain on them. And, you know, but you have to adhere to, especially with the pandemic, sending somebody in that's coughing, that sounds like, I was in my office and all of a sudden I heard this wicked cough, like a kennel cough, like a whooping cough. And I went out, and it happened to be somebody that, she just started around the same time as me. And I had been assessing her back and forth. She's had some issues, and actually she spent the Thanksgiving, she got out, but she was in the hospital for 9 days. She was diagnosed with diverticulitis, and she was very sick. So I immediately, when I heard her coughing, called and said to her sister, well, she's got a wicked cough. You know, I mean, especially with COVID and everything, long and short of it, oh no, that's her being, you know, I said, well, you know what, I can't take that as that's being something, because you should really know better. But there are people that don't know better, and or you know, or they, you know, just they're not thinking because they have had it, or they're tired, or they're strung out. Well, you know, we've kind of all been there and done that, but with what we've all gone through in the last year or so, I mean, really. So she came in, she went home. I said, you know, she needs a test. You know, she was in the hospital for 9 days. I know they don't do it. She was negative going in, but I know they don't check you going out. Did she get checked? She ended up having the COVID. So she came in. I mean, I was talking to the program manager over the weekend, and I said, did you hear anything on so-and-so? And she said, no, do you want me to call her? And I said, yeah, would you mind? You know, that would be great, because, so she called her, and she said, oh no, she's better. Never told her. She took her had a test, sent her in Monday, and I received a phone call around maybe 1:45 or so that afternoon that she was tested positive. So, of course, we've been, you know, shut down since then. I felt like, geez, I was just getting myself going and what have you. But the one thing was the transmission. You know, nobody else got it in the facility. And I mean, you know, whether or not it had something to do, I pulled her out of the room right away when I heard her coughing, away from people, because you work with people that don't understand to cover their mouth when they're coughing. If they're eating, you know, they do have snacks and eat, and, you know, they have the mask off and they open mouth cough. So, you know, nobody else did get it, but unfortunately, like I said, you're gonna run against somebody that's gonna not be so compliant, which people should be, but you know, there's always one that thinks.
Thank you. I'd like to open it up to questions from board members. Tim, would you like to start?
I can. My name's Tim
Hi, Tim.
Howard. Thank you for participating in this interview. Could you please highlight for us the education experience and your background that you feel prepares you for this position, and what interests you about this position?
Well, I actually, as I said, I have my associate's degree, then I worked on to obtain my bachelor's. I feel the, you know, life experience is huge. You know, I'm not in my 20s, so it's, you know, and kind of realize that no matter how much book smart somebody is, it's their gut. And this position intrigued me because actually, first of all, I live right down the street. Second of all, I almost work with the clientele with setting up blood pressure clinics, as reading as it said in the job description, clinics with blood pressure, blood sugars, so on, so forth, vaccines. And I mean, I've done all that. So I feel like I gravitate to, I don't know, I would assume that the population that you serve is the elderly. Am I correct? Is it all just that, or is it any?
More or less.
More or less.
Yeah.
So do you have any direct community health activity planning and experience outside of a medical facility, like on your own in a senior type setting?
Well, no, I actually, I've never worked, my dad was at, assisted living. I mean, my clinicals were at, hospitals and hospital settings, but no, I don't have, I've done vaccine clinics when I was in nursing school, but that's
But not
about as
leading
much.
them yourself?
No.
And what
no.
about computer proficiency? Are you familiar with tracing and computer input and data and whatnot?
As far as the COVID and all that, no, I haven't done anything like that. But I mean, I do know how to use a computer, and I was, I'm not like an old dinosaur on it, but I know I'm not going to break something. But no, as far as the contact tracing and all that, no, I have no background with that at all. Mm-mm.
And as far as flexibility with your new position, are you somewhat flexible with hours and times, or?
Well, it's more or less, I know that when I spoke to Sue, the position said, 6+ it could be. I drive 25 miles, I drive 50 miles a day going back to work, get back and forth to work. So, I enjoy working with the public, I enjoy working with the, with people that really, like I said, don't have anything underserved or, and I like it, what I do, but I also, I drive that long distance, and unfortunately, my foot is better. I hadn't worked in a couple of years, and so going, I wore an ear boot for quite some time, and I had to take the ear boot out while I was at work a few times to put it on. I mean, it doesn't get in the way of me working and walking, but, I'm kind of hesitant to think to myself, can I do the full time? Because I don't know if I'm hurting myself more. This is a condition that's never going to go away. So, I don't want to make it worse. So there's a lot of things that I'd still have, that I have to make some decisions on, so.
So I think in general, the position in the past has been like a committed 6 hours at the senior center, somewhat flexible, but also you have to kind of target where the population can have you most accessible. But since the pandemic, the hours do range. It could be the 6, some weeks it could be 20, some weeks it could be 15, depending on how many positives are coming up and how many need to be traced. So we would need somebody that had some sort of flexibility where they're not committed to a 40-hour week, 9 to 5, or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I would, actually, like I said, I would weigh the difference in, I was thinking prior to even COVID, because I did start in the end of October, that, especially when my foot started to kind of act up, whether or not the 40 hours was going to be doable for me. But I didn't want to give up on that yet, because I had been out of the realm for so many years, and I just felt it was good for my psychological health as well. So,
What do you see, or where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
well, I hope, I would like to see myself as healthy and able to work to my fullest 100% capacity. I'm somebody that has a good work ethic, and I've always stayed at a position if I didn't even really kind of care for it, because I always felt bad for the population that I served, or, you get, and I mean, I'm not that spring chicken anymore that I need to feel that I need to do that. I need to do what's best for me. So I would hope that I would be able to, stay at a facility, a place that, that I'd feel that I was doing the job that I was supposed to do, learning. I'd like to learn new things, but I also think that, I don't think I'm going to end up going to Florida in 3 to 5 years and sit in the sun or anything like that. I just kind of want something. I want to work. And I want to make sure that I do a good job. And like I said, I'm harder on myself than anybody, because I think my work ethic has always been one of my strengths. And, if I can't give you 100%, I'm not going to give you anything.
Tim, do you have any?
Yeah, I just one question. So as a healthcare provider, I'm not sure you answered, I don't believe you have, but have you been involved in public health education training or the development of training programs? Because I've only been on the board for about a week.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure that when you're going to be at the community center, am I right to say that that's going to be your
Yeah.
ballgame? So
Okay.
they're going to be looking for you for initiatives to get out to that population. So I'm just interested to know if you've had any work in developing any of those types of training programs.
No, training programs, well, I mean, I had, where I worked in the day habilitations. I mean, there's a number of training demonstrations that you have to do with people that have to have thicket in their meals, blood pressures, the aides that work there, the blood pressures, blood sugars, somebody choking.
So am I to understand you ran those staff development programs in your facility, or did you just participate?
No, I had to run them.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to run them. They had, the certain criteria that everybody had to, if, say they had to have thicket in, you had a consistency, you had to actually demonstrate it for them, and then you would have to have them demonstrate it back to you, depending on what the consistency of was the person that, and, we had people with, oh God, I can't, for epilepsy, for people that seizures, they had, seizure precautions. We had to go through all that, update all those. There was, it's skipping my mind,
I understand, I'm a nurse as well, so I
Oh,
understand
okay.
the protocols that you're
Okay.
referencing, but my question is, in this particular setting, as the public health nurse, you would actually be developing, demonstrating, and kind of kicking those off, as opposed to just being someone that's handed a protocol and advocating it towards the staff underneath you. So we were just kind of thinking, like, do you have experience implementing those programs, like reaching out to certain vendors, getting the paraphernalia, working with Sue to set up certain things?
no,
Not yet.
no,
Okay.
Do you have any questions for us or anything about the Board of Health?
No, I mean, I just, like I said, I was intrigued by it because, it just seemed that it would be something that I could probably, do. It was the, limited hours, not 40 hours a week, and working with, like you said, a population that I kind of enjoy working with. So, that's it.
Excellent.
Diane, thank you.
Hmm?
Thank you.
Oh, no,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
All righty, thanks, folks.
Sue is the second interview.
Hi, good night now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian needed them outside.
Do you have another form, Sue?
Another question for him?
Yes.
To doodle him? too in street clothes.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I was just joking about the not worth it, you know that.
Don't walk like that.
I was just joking about the not worth it.
I missed it.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Didn't know about it. Oh, my eyes.
Welcome.
Hi.
This is our second interview for the nursing position. And this is Heather Doucette, correct?
That's correct.
Heather, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am an East Bridgewater native, so it's good to be back here, back in my hometown. I think I was very, very excited to hear about this job because I do take community involvement. Personally, it's important to me. So that was nice to see that this job opened up. I've been a nurse for many, many years, many different fields. I originally went to school in the Navy in San Diego, the Naval School of Health Sciences, which was a great experience. I traveled. I worked in California. I worked in New Orleans. I worked kind of all over the place in emergency medicine, trauma. I worked in the ambulances for a while, intensive care. So I really kind of branched out. I think that's one of the perks of nursing is that you can do all sorts of different jobs, all under the heading of nursing. And now I'm happy to be back in my little small town that I grew up in, and I'm raising my children here, and that's me in a nutshell.
Excellent. Open it up to questions. Lisa, do you want to start?
Sure. So Heather, do you have any experience, whether it be nursing or in the same thing about running any community activities, health-related?
So actually I do. I think that I would be uniquely qualified for this position in that I probably should have brought it with me, but I'm running around like crazy. I was given a Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal, and the commendation was for immunizing an entire island's worth of residents. It was a tiny little island in the Indian Ocean called Diego Garcia. And while I was there, I was stationed in the preventive medicine department. And we happened to have just a typical influenza outbreak. And it became really important we were so isolated in the middle of, the Indian Ocean. It became really important to make sure that everyone had been vaccinated. And so I was the corpsman that undertook that task, and we were successful. We had no deaths from influenza, and I walked away with a commendation and a medal. So I would say that's probably the most applicable thing that I have done as far as running things in public health.
Perfect.
Well, first of all, thank you for your service to our country. So as a healthcare provider, and I'm pretty sure this is going to go, have you been involved in public health education training and/or the development of training programs?
Oh, for sure. I think that goes hand in hand with nursing. Probably the most training I'm doing now is not so much geared toward public health, but in my present job, which I work per diem as an infusion nurse, we do a lot of in-home therapy, and so it's critical that I'm able to teach caregivers, patients, families. We have a lot of pediatric patients from Dana-Farber. So education is critical. Not so much what I'm doing now isn't exactly public health, but education is a huge component in my job.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your computer experience. Any programs you might be familiar with?
So I'm familiar with, do you want the specific programs? So probably NursePoint is one of the ones that I've used the most. I've used Maven in the past. I'm definitely proficient with all the Word documentation, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that sort of stuff. But in all of my different jobs of nursing, it's always been a different program that we've had to master, and they change frequently, and I can do it, and I can do it well, but the computer changes are one of the banes of my existence, as I'm sure they are for a lot of nurses.
Lisa, anything else?
So as far as your primary role now is per diem, so I assume your flexibility is pretty open?
I am flexible, yes. I typically work probably 20 hours a week, different days, different shifts. I try, in my job now, we do primary nursing, so I would schedule a time to see a patient that worked for myself as well as the patient. So, yeah, I'm always juggling.
Anything else, Deb?
I do, I was just going to ask, what goals have you set, and where do you see yourself the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, the biggest thing is that I'm in school to become a nurse practitioner. So, I don't know. I don't have a specific goal in mind yet. That's about a 2-year program. It's a master's program. And I look forward to the more responsibility in the role as a nurse practitioner. However, I would not be able to tell you exactly where I want to work, what field, what I would like to do, kind of keeping it open.
Do you have any questions for us or for the health department?
So I do have a couple questions about the tracing that you're doing. I'm not really sure how the scheduling would work.
Sue, can you answer that?
So that's like the big problem, I guess. It's hard because with this job, it's one of those things where, I mean, obviously, it's not a full-time job, so no one expects it to be your only job, but it requires a little availability because we have to log on to Maven 7 days a week and look to see how many cases we have and trace them. We can send some to the Contact Tracing Collaborative. We don't send any that are associated with our schools, so we keep them in-house. We don't send any that are associated with our nursing home or with any other clusters. So there's a decent amount of cases that require them to be followed up on within the 24 hours. It's not something that can wait 3 or 4 days.
Right.
So it can be done, in the morning. It can be done at night. But it's the more days you're available to check in on it and do some tracing is better.
So when you say do the tracing, what does that mean? So you have to start it within the 24-hour
You
period?
do. You have to contact
Okay.
the case within 24 hours. Yep.
But not necessarily complete all of the contact?
No, the idea is to contact the case, make sure they're isolated, make
Right.
sure their close contacts are quarantining, and start the process of, make sure that they didn't work within the 48 hours of their infectious period, like, where did they work? Do we need to, shut down a business for cleaning, or, and ideally, what I would love to see, and I don't know if it's even feasible, is that, to hand a nurse a cell phone from the town so that if there is an emergency or question, besides, right now it's pretty much coming through me, it would be good to have somebody else that's available to take some calls. Like, for instance, a daycare has a student that tested positive. What do we do? Who needs to quarantine? What's next? So we get a lot of those calls recently. And they're ideally supposed to go to the public health nurse, but we've been handling them in-house pretty much, since after the
March.
shutdown, since March.
So would you think that it is reasonable to have a cell phone and have like an hour turnaround time? So when you say you would
Yeah,
like
so I mean,
someone-
obviously, there's a voicemail, so obviously, you may not be able to get reached right away, and we're not giving up everything. I mean, we're still, but right now it's consuming, and we're not able to do the rest of our jobs
Right.
because we're doing 24/7 COVID stuff, so.
Right.
For instance, today, I'm trying to get ready for a meeting, and, I've got the school calling with 2 cases, a daycare calling, a business calling. So everything gets put aside because those things have to be dealt with today.
Right.
And obviously, you're not going to be available 24/7, but even a little bit more availability than what we've had will be huge for us,
I do think that I would be available, within like a couple hours sort of window turnaround time frame. There definitely would be times that I would be with the patient or in
Yeah.
full PPE and I wouldn't be able to grab the phone, but yeah, I think that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, like Susan said, one of the things, if you don't grab it within a particular time period, it automatically
It
goes to
does
the...
not anymore, it does not, that is not correct.
That's not correct?
No, that's why I've been so busy, that doesn't happen anymore.
Doesn't go to the community?
No, I have to,
center,
I have to physically do that every single day now.
right? That's something new?
Probably the last month, yeah.
I stand corrected.
But you are familiar with Maven, you've worked with it in the past.
I have, not in the
Ways
recent
back,
past. I
yeah.
would not say I'm proficient, but yes, familiar.
Excellent. Anything else from the board?
I do not.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, you're welcome. I'll look forward to speaking with someone soon. I don't know
Good
Sue, I
night.
talked to Sue, but whomever. All
Nice
right.
to meet you in person.
Thanks, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Before we get off track, they did not get added to the agenda because they were late. We have 3 renewals from the last meeting that came in after the last meeting. We have Buttercup's Bakery renewal, Flashback Frank's renewal, New Heights Builders renewal, and Wastewater Services renewal. These are all, none of them are new permits, they're all renewals. Can make a motion to,
Motion made by Lisa.
Were they all inspected? I mean, everything, they're all good to go?
yep, so there are 2 food trucks and then a septic installer and a septic hauler. So we don't inspect the, septic.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Back to discussion on the nursing position.
Would you accept the nomination now if we wanted to?
I believe the wording, Sue, can you speak to the wording?
Yep, so basically,
offer?
it would be to offer somebody a position, and then we would have to work with the personnel board and, everybody else as far as the details go.
Well, I'd make a motion to offer it to Heather Doucette. I think she seems like she's very well-rounded. She has the ability to, work independently in a healthcare setting and, on her own initiative, develop, I think what we're looking for with the seniors at the senior center. So that would be my motion, to nominate Heather Doucette.
Motion made by Tim. Do we have a second?
I have a second.
Seconded by Lisa. All in favor of the recommendation from the board to
Offer.
the selectmen, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Do we have anything new to come before the board tonight?
I do have something that I think you're all involved. This goes back a while, though, with the fire chiefs, with the training facility down at the Bridge Street landfill. You're aware of that, right?
I remember that. That
So
was-
after months of going back and forth with the town council, they did develop a lease agreement. The fire chiefs did agree to it, pending we want to do a public hearing with the abutters to let them know what's happening before both parties sign. So if anyone has any complaints or concerns, I think that would be done with the selectmen, which is fine. Could be jointly or whatever. But finally, we're going to try and move forward with that.
Excellent. Very good.
I think it's been over a year, right, hasn't it?
It's
Been a while.
It's been, had to have been, it was definitely pre-COVID, I think it was.
Do you remember this, Lisa, at all?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay, so it's been just about a year.
Good. Well, we look forward to moving ahead with that.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a huge asset for the county, honestly, and for the town.
Absolutely. Any updates, Sue?
Fuzzy
Other than-
brain, but no, other than, we've been, I haven't even talked to Tim today yet, but I'm all up and running on prep mod.
Awesome.
Probably have to talk to you about a couple of questions I have, but I've already added the COA girls as users on my prep mod, which is the program, to be able to schedule vaccines when we get them. So I did place an order, Tim placed an order. Most likely, only one of us is gonna get our order because they're really telling us towns are only gonna get 100 doses per week to start, so he put his order in a day before me, so probably he's gonna get it, but they've told us that moving forward, it has to transition into the health department prep mod and health department ordering. And actually, Bob, I don't know if you wanna talk about the refrigerator.
Yeah, good point. So we have a refrigerator in the Board of Health office that we've had probably 15 years,
And longer.
maybe a little longer. We've used it for flu vaccine in the past. It's a standard refrigerator that qualified. It's not a vaccine refrigerator, so I'm going to get into that in a second. We monitor it every day, twice a day, the temperature, just as Tim does with his refrigerator in the fire station. But we're not here on the weekend, okay? And our concern is that if it is on the generator of the town. Select offices in town hall are on the generator, so should we lose power, it'll still get powered up via the generator. Sue and my concern is that the thing is so old, I mean, not old if it's going to be in your home, but when you're storing something as valuable as, we don't want to take a chance of losing a dose. So I did a little, Tim came up with a refrigerator that he purchased to store his vaccine in, but he has people there 24 hours a day. We're going to store our vaccine that we receive in our refrigerator. So I started looking around for vaccine, countertop vaccine units. They're very expensive. They're around $1,100 a piece. I was a little uncomfortable. I got a quote from one from WB Mason also. He's right around $1,100. Actually, I was looking at the same model online. So I was looking for a little direction there. The other thing I can do is, where we're not here on the weekend, you can purchase a device that'll connect to the cloud that will alert you if that temperature drops below a certain number of degrees. And these are units that are very sensitive. They'll keep it between 36 and 46 degrees. If it varies, we could have a dialer on it, like we do on our sewage treatment plant when there's a problem. It dials the operator first, the primary operator, myself second, and the third operator. So I'm not so sure I want to purchase a regular standard apartment size, dorm size refrigerator. I mean, we have one there, that's even older. So looking for a little guidance when we get the vaccine. If Tim gets it, he'll keep it at his place, and he can keep an eye on it because he has people there all the time. I'm thinking we should probably go with like a 1 cubic foot countertop refrigerator, plug it right into the same generator outlet that we have our current vaccine refrigerator in.
Well,
But
excuse
it
me.
seems like a lot of money to me, and
How many cubic feet can it hold? Did it
well,
say?
they're about a foot or a foot and a half of cubic feet.
Okay. I mean, 10 doses of Moderna is in a box this big, so, I mean, it's not going to be a big deal. And,
Right. Just so the 1 foot
I-
would be big enough is what they're telling me, everything I'm reading.
yeah, I think we're good. And I think, there's definitely, we have CARES money available for that. I think that would be a wise investment, because honestly, from the beginning, I've been saying, I want to transition out from doing this.
Right.
And have it fall under the Board of Health where it's mandated anyways. In worst-case scenario, if something did happen, I mean, I'll maintain my fridge anyways, and I have the device, and the name of it slips my mind,
Yeah,
that keeps track of the temperatures, twice a day anyways.
yeah, a monitor.
And I have a backup plan that has to be checked twice a day and written down, so God forbid something should happen, we could always pack that in a cooler
Yeah.
and to maintain its temperature and store it down there until.
So the other thing too
it's a
is.
backup plan.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing too is availability. A lot of the more economical ones that do the same thing aren't available because everybody's buying them.
Right.
But WB Mason had a model that I was looking at also, that 3 to 5 business days we can get it from New York. So I didn't want to just do it today, I wanted to run it by you guys, and thanks for reminding me, Susan, I'd forgotten about it.
My opinion, I would do it sooner rather than later.
Make a
There's
motion
another motion for it?
Oh, Lisa, motion made. Is that
to
to-
purchase the vaccine refrigerator.
Does that-
Through,
Does that include the dialer?
I don't know.
Is
does-
that
does-
TPH compliant?
Is it what?
I'm opening a whole new window
We still have to,
here.
we'll still have to check the temperature.
Yeah, like on the weekend, how do you get around not having someone check your temperatures?
We've never had to, yeah.
Really?
So that's why I was concerned, get the Wi-Fi dialer. We didn't have that opportunity back 15 years ago when we were doing flu clinics. We've been doing flu clinics forever.
Yeah, because I would assume the Wi-Fi dial would be imperative. I know our staff ed has immunizations in her fridge, and she is a Monday through Friday, and just within the last 2 years, we've been tagged on that, but we're not a town, we're a medical, so there's a little bit of a difference, but because no one was going in and checking the temp twice a day, over Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
So I would think that if we had something that could remotely, or a program that did that,
Yeah, I
that would
agree.
be,
And I'll be honest with you, again, is that,
Because sometimes you may not lose power, but you may just have a
Exactly.
brownout or something where you just dim it for a little bit of time.
and it's got to have a lock on it, and the one from W. Mason has a lock on it. And even though it's a lot of money, and I'm sort of a frugal guy, God forbid we lost 100 doses or 25 doses of vaccine. I mean, that's unacceptable in my point. So it'll be sharp money if you look at it that way, but it's a lot of money if you look at it like something that's just going to keep something cold, you know what I mean?
Losing a vaccine would be like throwing diamonds off the back of a cruise ship. At this point, Amazon has the name of that device.
WB Mason.
No, Amazon has devices for
Oh.
that. Could you help me out, Lisa? What is the name of that device? It is slipping my mind.
I
Where
don't know.
where it actually tells you the temperature.
Monitors? Yeah, I
The
don't.
log, the data logger, thank you.
Okay.
So the data logger, Amazon has a slew of them. And honestly, the one we got didn't work, so we had to go back. So spending more money, you don't even think you need to. As long as it can log it twice, and if it gets low, if it can alarm and preferably dial out, that would be great.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we have CARES money available for that, so
Okay,
it's
thank
not an
Ryan
issue.
has an Amazon account. Ryan.
The town has an
I
Amazon
think-
account.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure where the dialer will come from. I think it's obviously a separate item, but.
Right, right.
So there's a motion by Lisa for the purchase. And Tim, was it seconded by you?
I'll second it, but I would have, if you want to just amend it to say, the fridge, the data logger, and the dialer are all.
Tim, before I order it, I'll go it over, I'll have you come in with me and we'll look it over, figure it out.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I'm not familiar exactly with what model or what, so,
Yep,
for the
So-
data logger.
I amend my motion to include all three.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else to come before the board tonight?
I don't think so.
I did have a question for Mr. Noble, but I believe he is in his office, so with,
Yeah.
with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.